Amateurs. Interior music store day. Hayes Altman, early 40s, bespectacled with long purple hair, sits in front of a cash register, ringing up a customer with her violin bow.
That'll be $102.50.
Sure. The woman fishes her credit card out of her purse and hands it to Hayes, who swipes it and gives her the receipt.
The next time you need to slap your husband with something, you try not to use one of the expensive bows.
Hayes and the customer smile at each other, and the customer leaves. Hayes turns around to face music journalist Davis Lincoln, early 50s, typical music reporter type, eager, yet somehow jaded, sitting across from him.
Hard to believe it's only been 2 years since I saw you last, man. You've done a total 180.
It's more like a 90. Glad to see the strangulation marks on your neck have gone away.
Davis laughs.
Yeah, no, I'm done. It was understandable. But what happened since then?
Kiran, Chicago, 2 years earlier. Interior nightclub dressing room, night. A vase full of flowers sits on a mirrored vanity, shaking from a loud rhythmic movement nearby. Avery Jane, A.J. Kennedy, mid-30s, all polished indie rocker aesthetic, and Drew McKittrick, late 30s, basically the male version of her, have sex on a rickety sofa in the dressing room of a large club in Chicago. They're in the throes of ecstasy, but Drew and AJ are positioned at an odd angle, with AJ's head hanging halfway off the side of the sofa. Every other time Drew thrusts, AJ hits her head on the coffee table in front of the sofa. Drew's too into it to see this is happening.
Oh, AJ!
After a few seconds of this, AJ leans over and shoves the table away as far as she can, then looks up at Drew, annoyed.
You know you're not actually supposed to bang my brains out, right?
Interior nightclub hallway, same time. Hayes and Persona's manager, Shawna Sobel, 40s, are crouched in a tiny sitting area off the main stage with Davis Lincoln. Shawna, ever the helicopter mom, keeps a protective arm across Hayes as if she's trying to keep him from flying out the car windshield.
I love that this album's full of, like, NPR-style driveway moments.
Driveway moments?
I thought that a driveway moment was when you got so tired of listening to NPR that you jumped out of your car and rolled around screaming in your driveway.
No.
So where's your lovely wife? I was hoping to talk to her for a minute.
That's a good question. I actually haven't seen AJ since we got here.
No worries, I can catch her later. Oh, and I wanted to ask you, you said in your email that you'd show me that photo of your mom and dad?
Yeah, sure.
I was such a big fan of your dad's.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, he was something, right? Oh, shit. I left my phone in the green room. I'll go get it.
Hayes jumps up and heads to the dressing room, which is just down the hall, and puts his hand to the door. But he can hear the boots knocking behind the door, and he laughs.
Shawna, come here.
Annoyed, Shawna gets up and walks toward Hayes.
What is it?
Hayes nudges his head toward the door. Shawna leans her head against it, and her eyes fly wide open.
The fuck? Who is that?
Sure happy motherfuckers, that's for sure.
Hayes, leave him alone.
But who is it? Did Beckham hook up with that chick from Jersey last night?
I don't know.
Man, they're going at it, but I need my phone.
Hey! Wrap it up! We're about to go on!
She tries the doorknob, and the door flies open, revealing Drew and AJ in flagranti delicto. They're so into it by now that it takes a second for them to look up, but they do. They look at each other. Shawna, stunned, looks over at Hayes.
Oh. Well, I guess it's not that girl from Jersey after all.
Shawna quickly reaches over and slams the door shut. Then she turns to Hayes, and they look at each other in complete silence. Suddenly, he starts walking quickly down the hallway with Shawna and Davis hot on his heels. Davis furiously snaps photos with his phone. Suddenly, Hayes wheels around and grabs his collar.
Snap one more photo? I snap your fucking neck. Got it?
Interior stage, night. Hayes stands on the stage in front of a microphone stand. In contrast to the other guys on stage, he looks more business casual than punk. Black blazer, jeans, glasses. If it weren't for the purple hair, he'd almost seem normal. Hayes straps on his guitar and steps up to the mic. He looks back at the other members of his band, Persona, including AJ and Drew, who are all going about their getting ready to go on routine, as if the world hadn't just exploded. Drew fiddles with his guitar, sneaking looks at Hayes. Finally, Hayes looks over and narrows his eyes at Drew with barely contained rage. Then he takes a deep breath and faces the audience.
It's great to be back in Chicago.
The audience roars. Hayes squints into the crowd.
You guys are amazing. How about my amazing fucking bandmates, huh?
Hayes walks over to Drew and throws an arm around him, pretending to jokingly choke him, but Hayes isn't really joking around. Drew yelps.
Drew McKettrick. He's a fucking maestro.
Wild cheers from the audience. The other band members look at each other like, what the fuck? Then Hayes walks over to AJ, smiling. She looks stricken, but Hayes just walks over, gives her a huge kiss, and then whispers in her ear.
I hope it was worth it. The love of my life, AJ Kennedy on bass.
Deafening sound from audience. Hayes returns to the front and puts his mic on the stand.
So this is kind of an old one, but...
The band launches into one of their hits, and the crowd goes completely nuts. Interior backstage night. Hayes walks purposefully into the backstage area where stage techs and other people, including our old friend Davis, have gathered. Hayes spots Drew leaning against a wall, admiring his fingernails.
So how do you want to do this? Bake off? Dance off? Jerk off?
Drew sneers at Hayes, raising an eyebrow.
I gotta say no to the jerk off. It might give you an unfair advantage.
Hayes punches Drew in the face. Drew lurches forward and belts Hayes in the eye, hard. Then Drew reaches over and puts Hayes in a chokehold. A crowd gathers. The security guard runs in and starts to grab Drew, but Drew is too fast. He throws Hayes out of the chokehold and onto the floor, then crouches down and addresses Hayes from the ground.
It's not like the band ever needed you. All you ever did was hold us back. And now you're gonna, what? Fight? For AJ's honor or something?
Drew stands up. Hayes looks up at him.
What honor?
Drew kicks Hayes in the stomach. The crowd gasps. The security guard grabs Drew and restrains him. Hayes coughs and sits up. His face is bloody. The area is deadly quiet. Hayes turns around and starts to walk away, looking sort of defeated. Then he stops, a hard look on his face. Suddenly, he whips back around, flies through the air, and Hayes and Drew proceed with their fight. Interior Police Department lobby, day. Hayes emerges from the bonding facility at the Cook County Jail, seriously bruised and beaten up. Shawna gets up, heads toward him.
Look, we took care of it, for now, but you might have to come back.
Shit.
Hayes nods toward a television in the corner of the waiting room where a vapid entertainment show is playing.
Well, it looks like a world of hurt for Persona frontman Hayes Altman and guitarist Drew McKertnick. The sexy ultra rockers currently on their World of Hurt tour got into a serious bust-up backstage last night at their Chicago stop. No word yet on whether charges will be filed, but
Hayes turns away from the TV and heads out of the lobby, Shawna following him.
Hey, at least they called you sexy.
Hayes and Shawna walk outside where a small crowd of shouting press are waiting. Interior Hayes' bedroom, day, a few months later. Hayes looks completely different now. Bearded and disheveled, he's lying in his bed, chugging a bottle of vodka, teary-eyed, as a saccharine pop song about lost love plays in the background. A slam of the front door is heard.
Hayes, where are you?
The clank of footsteps fills the hallway, and all of a sudden Shawna appears in the doorway in a business suit, holding an armful of paperwork. Shawna surveys the scene. Liquor bottles everywhere, dirty clothing on the floor, and open boxes of memorabilia. There are photos of Hayes and AJ spread around everywhere. Shawna gives Hayes a look.
Seriously, dude?
Interior grocery store, morning. Hayes stands in front of the freezer case and stops short. Someone has stashed a huge box of Tampax next to the Eggos. He bursts out laughing. This would be fine, except with his long hair and unkempt beard, dressed in his rattiest clothes, he looks like a crazy homeless man laughing at a box of frozen waffles. A punk girl and Mohawk boy, who are also in the aisle, glance over at him, curious.
Hey, you're Hayes Altman, right? We're such huge fans and...
Thanks. That's nice to hear.
Puzzled, Hayes opens the freezer, grabs the tampon box, and holds it up. Punk girl and Mohawk boy lean over for a closer look. They laugh.
What, you never heard of Maxicals?
Tampops.
Punk girl laughs and grabs the box from Hayes. She digs a pen out of her purse.
autograph this for me?
Mohawk boy makes a face. Hayes, amused, signs the box.
Thanks. So, what you been doing since Persona broke up, right? Totally focusing on your music?
Yeah, sure.
Cut to the totally focusing on music, yeah, right, montage. Exterior, Hayes' backyard, night. Hayes sits in a pool chair next to the diving board, staring listlessly into space. All around him, a group of partiers are gathered around his pool, dancing maniacally as someone pops a bottle of champagne. Interior, Hayes' bedroom, morning. Hayes is curled up in his bed, sobbing as he hugs a bottle of vodka in one arm and pets a tiny, fluffy dog with the other. After a second, he stops sobbing, frowns, and looks at the dog.
Whose dog is this?
Interior, Hayes' bedroom, night. Hayes and a pretty rock chick are about to go at it. She smiles as she pulls her shirt over her head.
I can't believe I'm about to have sex with Adam Levine.
Hayes glares at her for a moment, then shrugs.
Yeah, you are.
Interior Hayes' living room, day. Hayes eats a sandwich using a guitar as a table. Exterior Hayes' backyard, morning. Hayes sits poolside, reading Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. After a moment, he gets a disgusted look on his face, tosses that book aside, and picks up another book, Fuck Feelings. Exterior Hayes' mailbox, morning. Hayes pulls a large envelope out of the box. The return address label reads, Hawthorne, Moore, and Davis, attorneys at law. He opens it, sees that they're divorce-related papers. He pulls a lighter out of his back pocket, lights them on fire, then pulls out a cigarette and lights it from the flames of the envelope. End montage. Interior Hayes' foyer, morning. Hayes enters the foyer from the front door.
Gretel, you still here?
A tall blonde woman, Greta, mid-20s, walks out of the bedroom wearing only a t-shirt. She looks puzzled.
Did you just call me Gretel?
Silence, then.
No, of course not. Gretel. Greta.
Interior living room, continuous. Hayes walks into the living room, which is completely barren of furniture. He stops halfway through the living room. Interior kitchen, continuous. Then Hayes walks back into the kitchen. Then he stops again, blinks, and walks back into the living room. Hayes walks into the middle of the living room and stops. He looks around. Nope, no furniture. Greta walks into the living room, yawning.
Was there furniture here last night?
I wasn't exactly looking at the decor.
Interior kitchen, continuous. Hayes makes a beeline to his phone on the kitchen counter, followed by Greta. He dials, puts it on speaker.
Got a little dirty laundry to air out with my lawyer. You mind?
Greta shakes her head. Hayes' attorney, Ted, answers the phone, laughing.
Better not have any dead hookers in your pool.
That was last week.
Greta scoffs.